Meticulous Moments audience, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a very, very special guest here at the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And he is none other than Tony the Tiger Baltazar. And I have him with me in the green room, but first I'm going to read his bio before we delve into some interesting conversations. Tony the Tiger Baltazar is one of history's most celebrated boxers. Tony was born in 1961 in East Los Angeles, California, and his father was an amateur boxer, and he used to take Tony, who was 3, and his brother Frankie, who was 6 at the time, to the Olympic Auditorium with him. Tony was 3.5 years old when his amateur boxing career started, and by the age of 18 years old, he had fought 325 fights, had raked in 5 junior Golden Glove championships and a junior Olympic championship. Tony won 315 amateur fights and lost only 10 fights before he turned pro. Tony had a great start as a pro boxer. He was ranked 24 wins to 0 losses, which included 21 knockouts. Fight number 25 was against Howard Davis Jr., 1976 Olympic gold medalist, whose team included Michal and Leon Spinks, Sugar Ray, Leonard Leo Randolph. Tony ended his career with a record of 38 wins and 7 losses, 30 KOs and 1 draw. Tony had a great career, and he continues to be a phenomenal leader in society up to this day. And we are so super excited to have Tony with us. I'm going to bring him into the green room so that you can meet him. How are you, Tony?
Good morning. Fun. Thank you. How are you all doing today?
I'm doing so well, thank you. We are so super blessed to have you here on Meticulous. Now, I've read a little bit about your bio. I would like for you just to introduce yourself to the audience before we move into our questions.
I sure will. Good morning, audience. My name is Tony the Tiger Baltazar. I was a professional fighter back in the 80s and the 90s. I ended my career pretty well. It's nice to be here, and I'm glad to have been invited. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And you know, the audience is so excited to hear your story, to share this story with you, to celebrate your life and your boxing career. So I want to ask you, tell us more about those days when your dad took you and Frankie to the fights with him.
Well, I was three years old when he took me up. When he took me and my brother Frankie. My brother Frankie was 6. We'd go. My dad would babysit us, and he'd babysit us at the gym because he'd go to train too. And so my brother and I, we both watched him, and we started to like boxing. And so we decided we're going to go ahead and do it. So right away, my dad started training us. And God, that same year, at the end of the year, I ended up having my first fight as an amateur. I was 3.5 years old. I can barely walk yet, a long fight.
But you did it. That's where it started, because you saw something that you loved and you just had that courage to start. I mean, I don't know anybody else that started boxing, you know, and made a career out of it at 3.5 years old. That is so amazing that your dad did that for you. You know,
it
that
sure is.
Yeah.
You know, being able to fight at that young age back in the 60s when we did it, it was actually legal. Today, a kid has to be at least 7 to even get into a gym. I mean, that's what it is now today. But back in them days, it wasn't like that. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. There's two good things and two bad, and one good and one bad. You know, like with my brother Frankie, it's not too good for him today right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Times have changed, Anthony? Times have changed.
Yes, they have. Today, it's a lot safer, and they're watching out for the kids a lot more than they did back in the day. Back in the day, it was, you know, it was all the mobsters that were running the boxing back in the day. So it was a little different. Today it's a lot better.
A lot better, much different, absolutely. And, you know, I was wondering, when you and I had our calls, I was wondering if you and Frankie often sparred together, you know, and what was life like at home? All of you being boxers.
Well, to be honest with you, I had a house full of boys. My mom had one daughter. She was the oldest daughter that was born to us. She's the big sister. and the rest of us were boys. There was 4 boys after that, and it was just a house. My sister was going crazy. She'd run after us, and she'd hit us with the little things in the kitchen where you cook. She hit us on top of the head and stuff. It was funny. And she used to get mad at it, but it was funny until one day we decided to turn it around on her, and we ended up chasing her around the house, beating her up. I mean, we were kids. So it wasn't it wasn't like we were trying to murder my sister or nothing, but it was funny.
That's so funny. I mean, she was definitely outnumbered, all of you running after her.
But she knew how to hold herself up. I mean, she knew what to do. She knew how to defend herself. That's for sure. All these boys she had around her.
That's good. Yeah, having so many brothers, I guess, made her also tough. That's a good thing.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing. It helps the ladies as well. And I want to ask you to tell us about your amateur boxing days, because you had 325 fights and you only lost 10. Wow.
That's what's on record right now. But I know there was a couple. I know there was a lot of fights that I had that were under the table that weren't marked down. So I mean that's different. But yes, I tell you what, to have fights like that many fights. I mean, we were fighting sometimes twice a week, 3 times a week. We were fighting. It was fun because we were just. I mean, I was a little kid. It was just a little. We were little kids. We were growing up, and the really damaging punches weren't coming until you get older. That's when you get the manlyhood. You get that strongness. That's when the danger comes, really. But being a little kid, it was fun because we were going all over the country. We were fighting everywhere. We were by the time I was 15, I went to Vegas like about 20 times already. I mean, I'm only 15 years old, being in Vegas 20 times. That's a lot of times to go to Las Vegas. Yeah. So it was exciting for us. It was fun. We had a lot of fun with it. We really did. We made my mom go crazy though, because my mom was she always worried about us. My poor mom, every time we'd leave and we'd come back, she had another white hair in her head. I mean, she was so worried. Poor thing.
You were giving her gray hair.
I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't want to say that, but I did.
Oh my goodness, I guess she was just worried if you guys will be safe, but it's so wonderful to hear that you traveled extensively. And how was the traveling? Did you enjoy the road trips?
Oh yes, traveling was good. We've been everywhere. We've been everywhere. Traveling. I mean, I've been on a plane since I was like 10 years old. It's amazing. We did a lot of travel. We went to Vegas. We went to Vegas a lot, and we lived in California, in LA, California. So we drive to Vegas, get our fight on, and come back home. It was exciting because we were kids. We were seeing the world a little bit. It was kind of nice.
Good times, absolutely good times.
Yes.
We would love to hear more about when you went pro, because you had 24 fights, 0 losses, and 21 of those were knockouts.
Yes, wow. That was something that we had worked on. We had worked on it for all my life since I was 3. I worked on it to turn pro, and I did. I turned pro, and I made it up to 24-0. I was 24 wins, no losses. I had 21 knockouts. Then by that time, it was time for them to tell me that hey, it's time that we bring up the fighter, the guy you're going to fight. He's got to be a tougher fighter. So I'm thinking in my head, well, who are you talking about? Because they had somebody in mind, and I was asking them who they were talking about, and they were talking about me fighting Howard Davis. Howard Davis was 1976 Olympic gold medalist, the same year that Sugar Ray, Michal and Leon Spinks, Leo Randolph, they all became Golden Glove Olympic champions.
Yes.
And they were all fighting. They were all world title holders except Howard Davis. And Howard Davis, with a fight with me, after the fight with me, he was going to fight for world title again. He had already fought for once. He had lost, and he was going to fight again for it. And when I fought him, I mean, it's on TV. You can see it on YouTube. It's on there. I pretty much beat him up pretty good. I knocked him down twice in a fight. I beat him up pretty good. And at the end of the fight, we went 10 rounds. We went to a decision, and they gave him the fight. They actually gave him the fight, and that's
Oh,
when I knew, okay, there's a lot of politics. I was young, so I
yes.
mean, I was only, I was young at the time, and
Yeah.
I knew was, well, there was a lot of politics in this
Yeah.
boxing game. And
Yeah.
sure enough, that wasn't the first time I met politics. I met him a few more times after, but it was something else. But yes, I thought I won the fight, and people can watch that fight on YouTube now, and they can make a decision of their own because I know they did. I know I did. I know I won that fight.
Yes. Yes, you would know. You would know in your heart because you were in the ring. I've watched some of your fights on YouTube, and we'll talk a little bit later about the one that the long one. I believe you went 12 rounds, but that was with Camacho. But before we get to that, tell us more about how it came about that you fought David on national television in 1982.
Well, that fight right there, it was 'cause Howard had just fought for a world title, and Howard lost the world title. So they wanted, people are people, and the world is the world. And when you have an Olympic gold medalist who wins, I don't care what country you're from, if you have a gold medalist that wins a gold medal, they're going to try to do the best they can to get him out there, to make him as much money as they possibly can, and to make
Yeah.
themselves as much money as they possibly can, of course. Um, and with Howard Davis, when he lost that fight, they wanted him to fight one more fight again because he lost it. They wanted him to fight another fight so that he can win and then have a rematch with the champ. And
Oh,
they thought I was going to be, because I was up and coming back. I was 23-0 back home in LA. They thought I was, or 24-0 back home in LA, and they thought I was going to. They thought I was going to be a good fight for them. And they didn't think I was going to be able to do anything with them. They thought I was too slow, and I wasn't the kind of fighter that would be able to fight him and do good with him. But I did. I did. When that happened, I did. And boy, I tell you what, I got a lot of people mad at me because I actually did that. They thought I was going to be a pushover, and you can't fight Tony the Tiger Baltazar in the ring and be a pushover. It ain't going to happen. I was there. I mean, I grew up fighting. Ever since I learned how to walk, I was learning how to fight. So I
yes.
grew up fighting. I just that's just something that's in me, and it's going to always be in me to the day I die.
Yeah, that's it. And what was the outcome of that fight with Davis on
Well, that fight,
television?
we went 10 rounds. I knocked him down twice in a fight. I beat him up pretty good around the whole fight, and they gave him a decision. They only gave me one judge. Only gave me the 2 rounds that I knocked him down. They only gave me those rounds to win, and so I mean, it was just ridiculous. And after the fight,
Absolutely.
a week later, they had us back on TV on CBS again. They had us back on TV to discuss what we thought about the fight. How who do we think won? And of course, Howard said he thought he won, and of course, I'm saying what I did, and I said, there. I go, watch the film. It's right there. The proof's right there. And
That's it.
so yeah. So anyway, he did get his title shot again, but he lost it one more time. And maybe
Oh,
Howard Davis, rest in peace. He is gone today. May he
oh,
rest in peace, and
bless
hopefully
his soul.
he wins his championship up in the sky in heaven. Hopefully he does.
Amen. Amen. And I love that about you because we've had discussions about this. You have good sportsmanship. You're straightforward and you say it like it is, but you're a good sportsman, and just sending those blessings to him and his family. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. But it's on YouTube, audience. Go and look for that fight. Tony the Tiger Baltazar against Howard Davis. And they fought a couple of times. Now, you also had fights against Robin Blake and Roger Mayweather. We would
Yes.
love to hear about those fights.
Oh yeah, I fought Robin Blake first. I fought Robin Blake. No. I take that back. I fought Howard Davis. I mean, Roger Mayweather. I fought Roger Mayweather first.
Yeah.
We had a little. He didn't like me, and I kind of didn't like him at the time. Well, it was just not that we didn't really that I hate him or nothing, but it was just one of those all those boxing things. I'm better than you, you're better than me, and that's how that goes. But when I fought him, well, we had a. I mean, there was talking before during there was yelling at each other during the interviews and during the before the fight, and it was something else. And he ended up coming back home to California, where I'm from. He came to my house to fight me, which was really nice because he was already a champ before, so he
Yeah.
had came down to California, and we fought in Studio City, California, and we fought on CBS again also,
Oh,
and we fought. We were 10 rounds, and I beat Roger. They gave me the decision. You can watch that fight on YouTube also and decide what you thought who won that fight, because it was a pretty good fight. It was a pretty
yeah,
close fight. Uh, but I thought I beat him, but of course I'm going to say that because I am who I am. That's what it
yes.
is. Uh, but Roger also, just so you know, is gone today. He passed also, and I just want to wish him the best too. May he rest in peace. Also.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh my goodness, it's so to look back and to see how many have passed on, and it's just sad to hear.
Yeah,
What,
it is. It really is. Boxing. I mean, Muhammad Ali. He got Alzheimer's and stuff because I mean it was because of the punches that you got hit. And at this day, right now, I have a brother Frankie that's in California living with my mom and dad, and he's 2 years older than me, and he has Alzheimer's and he has Parkinson's, and he's not doing too good. I mean, I don't. We don't seem to think that he's going to last much longer. I hate to
oh,
say that, but I mean that's just something that I've seen a lot of fighters get. I mean,
yes,
it depends on how long you fight and how many fights you have, and how well you can defend yourself. By not getting
yes,
hit. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a firm believer in boxing that the object of the
yeah.
game is to hit and not get hit. I hear a lot of
Mm,
people say, "Oh, I can take a punch. I can take a punch." Well, the problem is you're taking the punch. You shouldn't take the punch. It's all about
yes,
not being able to get hit, move around.
yes,
The defense has got to come in,
yes,
and
yeah.
that's sadly in boxing that's what's going on. And right now in
Mm,
this day and age, I said boxing was better. Well, it was better. It was better. It's better now. The way they take the action they take, they get you on TV more. They give you more money. That's what the only thing better.
yes,
Training is not better than it used to be. I mean, all the old people that used to train really well are gone, and they're gone now. And the
yeah,
people that train now, all they're in there for, what's better in boxing today is they pay you more money, and that's what the people are seeing. And they see they pay you more money, so they're getting into it, not even knowing how to train somebody and trying to train
mm,
somebody. It doesn't work out that way, but that's what they're doing
yeah,
today. And may God put a, I don't want to say put a curse on anybody. I'm just saying may God hopefully take care of people who shouldn't be getting killed in the ring and stuff. Just
so,
take care of those people. That's what we really are. That's what we really want
yeah.
to make sure they do.
Yeah, look after the athletes. They are special human beings. I agree
Yes,
with you. Did
yes.
you with Robin Blake? What was the
Oh,
decision with Robin?
the fight with Robin Blake. I tell you, when I got into the dressing room when we had to, or not, it was not in the dressing room, into the commissioner's office when we had to weigh in. Uh, I walked in. I'm only 5'7". I'm lucky to be barely 5'7". And I walked into that office, and I seen this guy that was like, he looked like a basketball player. I'm not kidding you. He was 6'1", and I'm a little guy. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm fighting this big old dude. How the heck am I gonna hit him in the head?" And it was so funny. I'm gonna have to get my ladder and take my ladder in the ring with me or something. It was funny, but we went in that fight, and I got cut in the right eye in the second round, third round, one of those two,
Yeah,
and it was a tough fight. I mean, I had him down, he had me down. We were going at it. I had my eye bleeding in the early fights, and it bled through the whole fight. And by the time round 9 came, I was so exhausted because I had lost so much blood. I was just so exhausted, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie to anybody. I didn't train as properly as I should have. I had a
yeah,
new girlfriend, and I was thinking more about the new girlfriend than I was anything else. Which when you're a prize fighter and you're in that ring, you gotta focus on that first, nothing else.
yes,
And that was one
yes,
of my mistakes in boxing. My mistake in boxing at that time was that day when I decided was when I decided to think about my girl more than I did that fight. That whole time I was training. So
yeah,
you learn and you live and you learn. You live and you learn. You don't fool around. You take seriously when you're boxing. You take your training real serious.
yeah.
Definitely.
I agree with you, and I thank you for adding that. For being transparent and for being vulnerable and mentioning that,
Oh,
because there.
I apologize. I just hope it wasn't too long.
No,
Yeah,
no, of
that
course not.
was.
No, I'm glad that you're authentic and vulnerable, because that's what we do here at Meticulous. We talk, about the tough things, and we talk, we're straightforward about it. Now, I watched your fight. I watched a part of your fight with Hector Camacho.
Oh yes,
You
yes.
guys were fast. I mean, you guys went 12 rounds. I looked at, how they were scoring, how many punches were thrown, how many punches landed. Tell me about that fight. That was tough.
Okay, then let me. I'm gonna put this here, this one here, this fight right here. I'm gonna put this to rest today on your show. Everybody thought that Hector and I was going to be a really excellent fight. We were going to go at each other and cut each other's throat or beat each other up as bad as we can. But down deep inside, people didn't know Hector and I were best of friends. And at the time Hector was world champion. I was his sparring partner. I would go everywhere with him when he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, Boom Boom Mancini. He fought all these different fighters. I was his sparring partner. I'd always go to different cities around the states, to
Wow.
different states around here. Everywhere I'd go there with them, and I was his sparring partner. We would train together. I mean, he would pay me whatever for a round, and that's what we did, and it was a good thing. And we became really, really close. And then I had been waiting to get a title shot. When I fought Hector, I was already like 28, 29, something like that. When I fought Hector, I should have got a title shot like people do today when they're 19, 20 years old. I didn't
Yeah.
get a title shot till later. So Hector said, "Hey Tony, you know what, man?" He goes, why don't you fight me for my title?" And I said, "I go, what?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, he goes, "I'll give you a title shot. I'll give you a shot."
Wow.
Oh, no way. And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Heck yeah, I'll do it." And I tried my hardest to be mad and to want to fight him and to do it. But when we came down to, when we got into that ring, I mean, I hit him with a left hook once to the body, and he went, "Ow." And when he did that, my heart sank. I mean, I was like, "Whoa, I'm hitting him hard," And when that happened, I knew that was going to be like it is. It was going to be the way it was. I mean, we fought and we had a good time with it, but I didn't want to kill him. He didn't want to kill me, and I don't know. When you go into a fight, either you have that killer's instinct or you don't fight. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah. Wow, I am astonished. I did not know. Thank you. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that here on
I
Meticulous.
told you it was going to be the best show you ever had because I had some secrets. I had some secrets for you. I told you.
You did tell me. You did tell me, and it certainly is. Thank you, Tony, for sharing that. Lots of people don't know that. And that
it's
changes the whole thing.
I let the cat out of the bag, of course, but that's okay. I feel like a whole lot has been lifted off my chest. That's for sure.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's the truth. That's good. That's
Yes.
good. And, you and I also talked about something, and, I know that this is difficult for you, but I really understand that when we talk about these things, when we bring it to the world, it really touches someone else's life out there. Um, you know, we talked about the passing of your son, the tragedy that you went through. Would you like to tell the audience what happened there?
Of course. I was married for good about maybe I don't know 10 years or so, and we had two daughters. I had two daughters, and I always being a boxer, I always wanted to get that little young Tony and train him and maybe get him in the ring. Uh, and we ended up having another baby, and my little son was named Cody James Baltazar. He was born with Down syndrome. I don't know if you know what Down syndrome was, but he was born with
Yes.
Down syndrome, and we found out after he was born. We found out a year later that he had a bad heart. His heart. He was born only with one valve up top. Like, yeah, we're all born with two valves up top and two
Yeah.
downstairs, and he was born with only one. So his blood was coming in and going out of the same valve, and which was really, really hard. So they had to do an open heart surgery in him to make try to make it into 2 valves, and he was born with that. And when after the first operation, he came out okay. He was okay. And then he had a second one, and after the second one, he was okay, but he was getting weaker. You could tell. And then in order for them to finish, they had to do one more. So after the third surgery, and he was only like 4 years old, kid. And after the third one, he he was okay at first. Then he came home and we had him. And then he started getting sick. He was turning colors and stuff, and we didn't know what was going on. So we took him back to the hospital, and they told us that he had to have that he was going to that he would be okay. They'd have to have a fourth one. And then we said okay, but for that time he had gotten sick with he had strep throat, and then he had caught the flu, and then after that he had passed on us. He passed one day during that time. My wife and I at the time we were getting so combobulated with the whole situation that our marriage started to break apart. Our marriage, instead of it bringing us closer, it split us up. So we ended up getting separated. I ended up moving out, and then the little one, I was always close by watching that little one, making sure he was going to be okay. And one day I was home, and I got a phone call early in the morning. It was my wife that was she was crying, telling me that Cody had passed away. He had passed away just that time. They were at the hospital. So I got up and I ran. I went up to the hospital. He's already gone. He had passed. So after that happened, my wife and I couldn't get it back together. We were we began the blaming part. Like I blamed her, she blamed me. And it was it was awful. It was really, really awful. And then my two daughters that I had, they were both hurt with the whole thing too. But then after my wife and I couldn't get it back together, we ended up divorcing, and that hurt my kids. That hurt my daughters so much. And I actually lost the relationship with them for a while. It's been a while that I lost the relationship with my two daughters. And now I can happily say today we're as tight as ever. And I got 4 grandbabies. Each of them both have 2 granddaughters. One has 2 granddaughters. One has a boy and a girl. So it's good. But I tell you what, now that I thought about it all these times and all this time that I came out the way I did, and my brother Frankie, the way it was happening to him, I'm glad that I didn't put my boy, or I didn't put any boy in the ring, the box, because if I had it my way today, they wouldn't box, because boxing it's a dangerous sport. You can make great money, but it's just a dangerous sport. And to me, the life of my son, or the life of his son or their son, means more to me than money. That's for sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
We are sorry.
Yeah, it was hard. It really was hard. But I mean, you learn every mistake or every problem you have in life. There's always a way to learn from it, and that's what it's all about. It's about learning the right way, the right thing to do, and learning how to do everything is good.
We are very, very sorry for your loss. And,
that's okay. I'm going to be honest with you today. I know, because me being a Christian and loving God, I know today he's in a better place than he could ever be. And that's where he's at. I know he's happy as can be. I know that for a fact. And now that he's happy, I'm happy that he's happy. And that's the honest truth.
Amen. He's happy and he's healthy. And he's in the best place he can be, like you said. And look at all the beautiful grandchildren that you have.
Oh, yes. I got 3 girls and a little boy. I'm happy as can be. It's all good. Yes.
That's beautiful. I'm very happy to hear that you are a believer, that you are a believer as well. Tell us more about your walk with God.
I'm sorry, tell us more what?
About your walk with God. When did you become a Christian?
Oh, I was young. I was about 15, 16. I had a friend, not a girlfriend, but a friend. She was my neighbor. And her family would have like church meetings and stuff. I mean, they would have actual church in their backyard on like every weekend. They would have it, and we'd go back over there and we'd watch and we'd listen and well, half of it, most of it was in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so I didn't understand what they were saying, but there was always a translator translating it. So I got from that I got close, and I decided one day to go ahead and get born again is what it's called. So I got born again, and ever since then, I mean, there's no holding back. I can see. I know when it's God talking to me. I know when it's not. I
Yeah.
know when it's a blessing. I know when it's not. It's good. It's really really good, and I love it. I really honestly do.
That's beautiful. Yes, I
Thank you.
agree with you. I love God as well, and we can do nothing without Him. I mean,
Yeah.
His grace is just amazing. His mercies on you every morning.
And things. I mean, things that I don't. I'm not sure, but I went to. I read the Bible from front to back and back to front. I mean, all over from the beginning to the end, every word. I didn't understand a lot of it, but I did understand what I needed to understand. And
Yes.
he's good. He is so good. There's nothing like it. And I feel good about myself no matter what happens in my life. And I've had a lot of things happen in my life. No matter what happens in my life, God's always there looking after me. I know He is. I can feel his. I
Yes.
can feel His hand on my shoulder. I can feel His hand on my shoulder at times, and it's a good thing. It's a real good thing. And the way our world is today, we're kicking God out of everything that we believe in. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what our world is doing today. I mean, God is not in school. God can't be in school. Can't be there. Can't be here. And I didn't mean to make this into a church thing to you, but it's just something that
Oh, I
I
love him.
deeply feel about that.
Yeah.
It's something that we need to give it to our kids, teach our kids this. We need to do a lot of things. I mean, right now, our world right now is it's not getting better. It doesn't seem
Mm-mm.
to be, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. And hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully that we can turn it around. But the reality is, it's going to end one day. It's going to end. Hopefully not soon, but it's going to end. And when it does end, hopefully that we're all on the right side to go into the right place where we need to
That's
be.
it.
And that's with God.
Yeah. That's it. That's with God. And we're not absolutely not scared to talk about God and Meticulous because, He is the author and the finisher of everything that we do, our faith and etc. etc. So I always give Him all the honor and the glory. And I'm thankful
Yes.
to have you on here, brother, because you do the same.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I thank you for the invitation, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, I have two more questions for you. And the first one is I never asked you, how did you get your nickname? How did you get the name Tony the Tiger Baltazar?
Well, I tell you, I had turned pro already, and I was still Tony Baltazar. I turned pro, and there was a Herald Examiner, Los Angeles Herald Examiner. He was what do you call him? A writer? What would you call him? He was the guy who wrote the sports for him, and
Oh, okay.
he was a sports writer. He would come into my fights whenever I fought at the Olympic Auditorium. He'd come and he'd watch the fight. And the next day there'd be an article on the fight. And he said that one day he walked into the ring. I mean into the auditorium, and he sat down, and it was my time to fight. And when I started fighting, he says he was watching me. Really, he said he was staring at me, and he goes, every time the guy got next to his opponent, he looked like a tiger. I mean, he was just so ferocious, and he'd throw all these shots. So that's where it came from. It came from the Herald Examiner, Los Angeles Herald Examiner writer, John
Wow.
Beirut. He came in and he called me Tony the Tiger. So ever since then, my name stuck, Tony the Tiger Baltazar.
I love that absolutely, and it suits you because I've watched some of your fights. You were definitely ferocious like a tiger. You just
Thank
went
you.
at it, and your hair as well. I'm sure that also helped. To get that look, that image of the tiger. So absolutely amazing. Before we close off, Tony, thank you so much for your time today and for being always so kind. And so open. I want to ask you if you have any words of wisdom for the audience. What do you want to leave them with?
I was a boxer, so you expect me to leave it with the boxing words, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to leave it with boxing words. I'm going to leave it with a word that means way more to me than boxing, and that's God. If you don't know Him, please get to know Him. If you'd like, I'm not forcing God into nobody. But if you do feel like if you do want to get to know Him, then all you got to do is talk to Him. I mean, if you close your eyes and you focus on Him, He sees that and He knows you're talking to Him. So go ahead and talk to Him. Invite yourself into His kingdom if you possibly can. That's what you need to do. That's what I want people to do, especially in all this tragedy we have today. Kids killing kids in the stores, kids doing whatever they're doing. We don't need that in our life no more. I'm a firm believer, like I said, in believing, and I know He's coming back, and He's coming back soon. But we have to all make sure that when He does come back, we're on His side, not on the wrong side, on His side. And in order to be on His side, we have to be committed to God, believe in God, and we have to be one of His children. We have to be part of His family, and you have to be part of. In order to get into one of His families, to ask and give it all your heart, and you will do it. And that's what I want to leave to everybody else. Boxing is a good sport. It's a great sport. If you want to get involved with it, go ahead and get involved with it. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. For some, it could be. For some, it ain't. But it all depends on you. If you love the sport and you really want to dedicate yourself to training, that's what you do. And get into the sport, like in basketball, football, anything like that. In order to be good, you got to train. You got to practice to be good. Practice makes perfect. Or not perfect. Practice makes great. It really honestly does. Only one thing in life is perfect, and that's God. That's the only thing perfect in life.
Amen. And I wanted to, lastly, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Maybe your daughters or your grandchildren?
I want to give a shout out. Number one is going to be my mom and dad back home in California, Los Angeles, California. My dad's in his 80s, and he's not going to be around too much longer, but I just want to let him know that I love him, and all the rest of my family and friends. I love you all. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you. Thank you for making the time. You're a fabulous human being and a good example to us all, and you're a child of God. That's very important. Thank you for blessing us today, and we'll see you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you very much. We love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.